Well, the Adjustment Bureau.
How's it going, everybody? We're it's I Quit My Band. We're the Adjustment Bureau now.
Yeah.
Actually, we've been spinning our wheels about how to start a band themed after the movie The Adjustment Bureau.
I think the time is right. We've quit our band. We're going to restart a band called The Adjustment Bureau about the movie The Adjustment Bureau.
A themed band about the movie that came out in, what, 2011?
2011, I believe.
Never seen
Never seen it.
Never saw
Don't
it.
plan on seeing it. I just know that Matt Damon wears a very sick hat.
There's a lot of cool fedoras in the movie, worn by all.
It's really just an excuse to get that fit, you know?
Just want that fit. Just be able to wear it on stage. Just get some ladies coming to the show finally.
Yeah. Well, every time I finish a song, just grab that thing, pop it off.
Ladies?
Reminder, everybody, we are the Adjustment Bureau.
You can trust me.
But don't adjust me. We're the Adjustment Bureau.
Dumbest thing maybe ever on the podcast?
Easily.
JJ's going to see this and be like, what the fuck
What were you guys
were
doing?
you talking
Was
about?
that gas leak happening again?
No gas leak here, folks. We're actually doing it. But thanks, everyone, for joining us. Another episode of I Quit My Band. My name's Nate.
I'm Evan.
JJ's not here. He's been adjusted.
He has been adjusted.
He got adjusted by the Adjustment Bureau. They took his ass away, adjusted him, and it's going to take a couple days.
A justice was served, dude.
That should have been the tagline for the movie.
A justice
was served. God damn, it's so stupid. We're sorry about this, folks. But yeah, we're doing good. JJ's not here. We're doing another album review tonight of an album by a band called Porridge Radio. I feel like you've been more of a fan of them. I don't know much about them, honestly.
Okay.
But I saw, like, a couple years ago, they made waves in, like, the Pitchfork world for an album.
Every Bad.
Was that what it was called? Every Bad?
Yeah, I think it came out in 2021. That's when I found out about them because Pitchfork gave them Best New Music. That was their second album. Checked it out, and I really liked it. Like, kind of like a Pixies type dynamic, quiet, loud type stuff. The lead singer, Dana Margolin, has a really unique voice. Really, she has like an ability to emote while singing that is very. I've never really heard. I don't hear anyone else like it in modern music.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, listening to this new album, I was like trying to spin my wheels of like, who are the influences here? Who can I compare this to and act like I know what I'm talking about? And I couldn't find one, you know?
Yeah, because they have like the little post-punk type stuff with kind of the vocal delivery, and the songs typically have like are pretty lyric focused.
Yeah.
And on the earlier records are definitely like heavier or, you know, play between that dynamic of quiet and loud more. Yeah, so I really liked Every Bad. Their follow-up, Water Slide Diving Board Ladder to the Sky.
Yeah, they're one of these long name album bands.
Yeah. Liked it. I thought it was a bit of a step back on a whole. Like, I don't think it's as strong as a record front to back as Every Bad, but there are songs off that record that are, like, fantastic. Back to the Radio, which was a single off that album, is great. What's the other one? Oh, Rotten is another song I really, really liked off that record, Jealousy. So, great songs off that record. I didn't like the record in full as much as I liked Every Bad, so they had kind of fallen off my radar. But when we were looking at releases coming up, and I saw their name again, I was like, oh, yeah, I do really like that band.
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear what they're doing next.
Yeah, I haven't listened to them at all. Like, this is pretty much my first foray into the Porridge Radio world.
I'll be really interested to hear your opinion.
Yeah, I think it's good to do one of these reviews where, like, you know a lot about it. You've been pumped about it. I'm just like, this is new to me. We might clash. I'm not sure. We haven't talked about it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember seeing a lot about them a couple years ago with that album Every Bad. In the Pitchfork reviews, you know, they gave it Best New Music, like you said, and it always just felt like this was another, like, I think the alternative too. I think at that time I was doing some writing for them, and everyone was like freaking out about that record. But it's always struck me as like in like the Phoebe Bridgers snail mail lane. Wasn't sure if that was really it. It's way different than what I thought after hearing this record. They definitely have just a whole different vibe to them.
I would agree. Yeah. That was kind of my thought too when I first saw that Pitchfork review. I thought it would be more in that lane, but I ended up liking it a lot more. They have a song off of Every Bad called Sweet, was like my favorite song of that year.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a lot heavier than that type of music, and her vocal performance on it is so good. She has this like incredible ability to go super vulnerable, like with almost like a quivering emotionality.
Yes.
And then also bring it up to this level where like it matches a loud ass rock band.
But never, like, her vocal never reaches this point where like she gets out of control. It sounds like she's almost getting there, but she like restrains herself and can keep where she's at and like in the song and in the melody, which is really interesting. But this new album called, you know what? Hold on a sec.
It's called Clouds in the Sky.
Yep.
They Will Always Be There for Me.
We're not on Spotify yet, so I'm doing this is tough. Yeah, Clouds in the Sky. They Will Always Be There for Me. Comes out this week, and I think we should just dive in.
Let it rip, dude.
It's I Quit My It's the Adjustment Bureau.
When JJ's not here, we're called the Adjustment Bureau.
Yeah, let's dive right in. This is the first song called Anybody.
Yeah, and not immediately, but especially from the last record to this record, you can tell there's a more stripped down approach. Like the third record, the last record, definitely upped their production game from Every Bad. And this, we're already starting out like very quiet, very stripped back. And they worked with the guy who has mixed Big Thief, which I thought was an interesting move for them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they sounded like before, but when I saw that they worked with someone that worked with Big Thief, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like, they have Big Thief vibes, I guess, and sort of like the guitar and how raw everything sounds. That was what struck me about this immediately, was like vocals sound raw, guitars sound very raw. The drums also sound like they were like untreated almost.
Yeah.
Which is how Big Thief always sounded to me as well.
And especially on later songs, the drum sound is like so up front, and you definitely get a bigger sense of that. As an opener, I love this.
Yeah, I thought this was great. Like, this is like, it's very like gospel sounding at the beginning. Like, it sounds like you're at like a church, and
yeah,
they're
with like
running,
the organ.
running.
Yeah. And then this turnaround when this comes in and her vocal starts getting like more frantic and energetic. Yeah, it's like, we always talk about moments in records, and it feels like they're starting it with like a moment that has stuck with me every time that I've listened to it.
Yeah. She does this thing throughout the whole record too, and I think they do it here really well. Like, it's kind of like how we talked about with Chat Pile. And they, this band and Chat Pile just
could not be much different.
They're hand in hand.
Yeah, they're in the same scene.
They're in the same boat. They're doing shows together. But no, like, the repetition of like one line, they do it throughout this whole record and use it as a hook, but also like use it as like sometimes just a way for the song to like move. Like, they just use it for the whole, like they will base an entire song around one line. And like, even like this, like what they're saying here, like the brighter and brighter, like it seems like they wrote the instrumentation around it to be like this big explosion that happens here.
That's interesting, because I read that a lot of these songs started as like poetry. Like, she wrote a poem first and then would write the song around it. So that does make sense.
So that makes sense, and I'm smart.
You're actually smart.
Actually,
very insightful.
It's one smart moment I've had in the show.
You've just been adjusted, folks.
This is the adjustment. Poppier.
And I like how like we do get to this big crescendo, like starting off so small, getting this big crescendo, and then we get like a nice little coda. And there's a chord change here, like they've been like jumping between two chords, and then it starts going up.
Yeah, this is
here.
an interesting part at the very end.
Yeah, like what kind of caught me on this record more so than the other records is they are stripping so much back. Like their other records don't sound this raw, and they write really good like pop songs, but this feels like a little more sophisticated.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
You know, than just like a well-written pop song.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like they have, did they ever have synth and like these bells and stuff in the background? Like
yeah, usually more synth, but they would put piano and stuff like that. That's been a part of their sound for a while, especially off the previous album.
Do you have the song titles?
Yeah.
Okay.
This song is called "A Hole in the Ground." This was the second single that they released.
Yeah. This is the first song I heard from the record because it was the first one that I saw that was released. At first, I didn't love the song. Like, I didn't know what to feel. Like, this is my first, like, taste of this band. And I didn't know what to expect. But when I heard this, I was like, oh, boy. Like, it just felt like so, like, out in the open, like, free form that I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. But in the context of the record, it makes sense for them, and it ended up being one of my favorite ones in the record.
Yeah, I really like it. I think like this opening, I know what you mean. Like it does kind of feel not quite meandering, but then when it hits this section, the horn comes in, and then when she there's like a line like "I take off all of my clothes," and it goes into that sing-songy thing.
Yeah,
you know, it's another like I feel like these songs more than some of their previous records, like they make you wait for the hook or the thing that's going to keep you coming back to it.
Yeah.
And it's more satisfying when you get there sometimes.
Yeah. You have to be a patient person, which I have. Yeah, this part's awesome. Yeah. You have to be a patient person with this band, which me with this podcast has
we've learned
trained my brain to be like, where's the riff?
Yeah, where's the hooks, brother? No, I think it's interesting that this is your first introduction to the band because I really appreciated this as a creative move based on my context of the band.
Yeah.
Like, I really like this as a move, but I would say that it is a pretty decent shift from their early stuff. So I think it'll be interesting on what this works without that.
Yeah.
Because I'm really thinking of like this as a reaction to what they've done, and you're like, what's going on?
What is
here?
happening? Yeah. Yeah, that is how I felt. But I mean, this song is a good taste for what the rest of the record's going to be like. This was started off as a solo project. Is that how it happened?
I'm not 100% sure. I know that they released an album back in like 2016. It's called like Pasta, Rice, and Other Fillers or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until 2021 that Every Bad came out, and that was where they really took off. But my understanding is that like Dana, the lead singer, is the creative force.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it started as a solo project, but I definitely think that she is the one steering the ship.
That makes sense.
This is the next song. This is Lavender Raspberries.
Yeah. Like this one a lot. Again, got to be patient with it, but I feel like this one is one that pays off a little bit more with like the intensity. Like once the chorus hits, it starts getting like kind of rocking, and that I can't really remember it's coming up here, but like the chorus, I guess, that happens is like it just feels like it has more of a urgency to it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I would say this was the first song. It's not the last song on the record that reminds me of Black Country New Road a little bit.
Yeah.
Where her voice is very dramatic, and like there's like a not quite symphonic quality, but there's like a little bit of waltziness to the sections that get airier.
Yeah.
But yeah, when this picks up where she's like, I am the bumper car, I am a one-way street, I am the asphalt.
I am the table.
I was gonna say, I was like, that's usually a lyric like convention that I really like when like you like compare yourself to like an inanimate object.
Except for when
Lou Reed
James
and,
Hetfield did it.
and Metallica do it. Then it's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, but I like this one a lot. I mean, for an album that is like so slow moving. I mean, we'll get to other songs, but for an album that's so slow moving, I've thought this one like acted as like the punky one. And you saying Black Country New Road is kind of like clicking in my head that like that is a band that I can like, because there's just like no one I can compare this to. Like I was thinking Big Thief, but her vocal, yeah, there it is.
Love this.
Her vocal doesn't remind me like anything of Adrienne Lenker.
No.
The instrumentation is not as bluegrass inspired. It's just more post-punk. I would say Black Country New Road is a good comparison if you're a fan of that band.
Especially this record.
Yeah.
Because what really took me back on this record is the arrangements. You know, they before it felt like they were arranging things very much like a conventional rock band.
Yeah.
You know, we have a chord progression. You come in here, you come in here, and
That's
we have
really
a song.
Interesting to hear. Like if this is my first taste, and then I'm gonna go back and hear like pop songs, like I would never listen to this first. I would never expect a band to like go this weird.
And this chord here, I love that like weird dissonant minor. And then it gets really unhinged here, which I love. And like her vocal just plays into that feeling so well. Like you feel like you're on like a fucking like roller coaster that was supposed to stop at the like train to let you off, but it just like blew by it.
I also think the drums play a huge part in making these big crescendo parts sound like a train wreck or something like that, and not in a bad way, but like they are like the cymbals are so splashy, and like the snare is soft and everything feels soft, but you could maybe he's like a jazz inspired drummer, because it just feels like the ending of Whiplash or something like that, where it's
like
just cymbals.
And the decay on the cymbals is so long, like you hear him hit it, and like you just like hear the entire.
And then when he's going crazy, it's just like, it creates such a huge atmosphere.
This song is called "God of Everything Else."
Yeah, this is my favorite one on the record.
Easily.
This might be one of my favorite songs of the year.
I would agree.
Which is like out of nowhere. Would not think just some random band. I'd be like, wow, this is fucking really good.
This was the song when it finished, because I'd liked everything up until this point. When I got finished with this song was when I texted you. I was like, damn, this is
actually pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, and like going back to kind of the conversation earlier, it's like I think it is interesting that you are coming in and like you have this perception of them, because like this chorus here, the way they build up to it,
God, it just it gives you chills a little bit. Like it just builds up in such a good way. Her vocals, I feel like, I don't know if this is the like, they are like this throughout the whole record, but I don't want to say it's the best use, like the her best vocal throughout the whole record, but that thing that she does with her voice where she like it gets kind of intense, but she kind of
you feel like she's holding something back.
She like regresses a little bit, not to go too intense. It just like works so well here. Like it just feels like they're about to go like stomp on the distortion and make this like a rock song, but it feels bigger than that. It feels just so artsy, I guess.
Yeah, there's like a lot of restraint on this record, and at times I think it like lends itself to making these songs so much more powerful because you're not being like just they didn't go into the studio, track 15 guitars and make it this thing. And going back to kind of like the arrangement side of things, like how like there's not a ton going on in these songs.
No.
Like you hear the drums, you hear the guitar, you hear the bass, vocal, and some keys. On some of their other tracks are really like, blown out production wise, and I think it adds more intensity to the emotional moments because you just feel closer to it.
It feels like they're like working within their means with something like
here.
Yes. That like blood curdling like like it's not a scream, but it's like someone crying out for help or something.
Yeah, it feels like cathartic. Like I needed to yell sick there.
Yeah. I love this melody. I love the way I wouldn't call it a synth, but
Yeah, and how it breaks down here.
Yeah.
And the lyric too, I love. Like I'm the god of everything else. You're the god of losing me.
I was gonna say that. That's really good.
It's so fucking good.
Don't usually get wrapped up in stuff like this, but damn, yeah, I like the song a lot. What is this one?
This one is
Sleeptalker. Yeah. This one felt like sort of an interlude, almost. It felt like, to me, a continuation of the song previous. Like, it felt like it could have been tacked on to that, and because it's another one that just builds into like a big crescendo and then just kind of like,
yeah.
I liked it, but yeah, it didn't feel like, I guess coming off of how big the song before it was, it's like it feels like sort of like a conclusion, I guess.
I can feel that. This is the one, probably even more so than the previous song I said this about. This is very Black Country New Road. Those strings, the horns, how, and I do like that a lot. I like how like delicate this is and raising up into the crescendo. I agree that it's where it's probably not as strong is like melodically.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have as strong as melodies as some of the ones that came before it. But as like a piece of music, I still really appreciate it. Like,
yeah, they crank up the guitar tone a little bit, crank up the grunge level. But yeah, I mean, I guess this is a point in the record where I kind of start like the melodies kind of start feeling like Groundhog Day a bit, like where it starts like, well, she kind of just did that one, she kind of like, it kind of always follows this like no, like that pattern.
There is like a sing-songy nature to a lot of them that feel like they all work, but I know what you're saying. There is a similarity to them, and I don't know if that's a function of like writing the words first and then trying to fit words to them, because I've run into that issue as a songwriter where it's like, man, I'd really like to say this here, but the melody I came up with was much simpler than that.
Right. She doesn't stop. Like whenever she starts going with her melodies, it's throughout the entire song and there's really no breaks. Like it's a continual melody the entire time that just has her going like it's just one fluid thought almost, which I guess, I mean, it's a cool style because it's not done usually, but yeah, it probably is an effect of writing lyrics first and being like, well, how am I going to write a song around this?
Yeah, how am I going to fit these?
Yeah, like I'm just going to go.
I'm going to go off.
Go for it. Yeah.
And I would. This song is called "You Will Come Home." I think that a lot of times her performances can carry that because, we'll start here and then it gets more intense and more intense and more intense. Yeah, this one I enjoyed as well, but again, this is another one where you're like kind of like, it feels like all the melodies kind of do this. It's it's like a leaf falling slowly down, like
or a leaf or a feather, just something very gentle. Like all these songs are so gentle, like so touchy. Like it feels like if you just poked at it, it would shatter. This song and then the song after it, I'm pretty sure, are the two on the record that feel the most like familiar to me. Like I feel like they use like kind of old songwriting tropes to go off of the melody for these. Like they don't feel as unique as what came before, I guess.
The one after, I would agree with big time. It has a very classic sounding melody that does kind of have this feeling like I've been here before. I think the back half of this song is pretty fucking great, though.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, this is very like First Dance almost.
Yeah, it has like a waltzy almost quality.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like a dropout at the refrain where he's like, she's like, "I will do anything."
Yeah, is it with the harmony? Is that like?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it goes into this like heavy part, and her voice goes into a register that it doesn't go into the rest of the record, where it's like, "Smile, bud."
Oh yeah.
And I think it's fucking like you feel like you've heard everything that her voice can do at this point because she has gotten so intense at times. And the fact that there's still like this like sixth gear that we can find when we need it, I found really satisfying. I think it's right here.
Yeah.
Like this is really pretty.
It's very pretty, but very raw at the same time. Like it doesn't feel like it's juiced up like with fucking programs.
There's two voices.
Yeah, it's just two voices.
Right. And they come in a little heavy here. Yeah, I was really struck by how stripped back the production is and how you can hear everything, and it's just that.
Yeah, it feels like they just were in, a home studio or something like that that they built, and were just able to crank out something really pretty with like, yeah. The vocals kind of have like the distortion on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I do like this song.
Yeah, it's another one that, like, if you because a lot of them start out very delicate and very slow. And that's what I kept finding myself the more I listened to it, where I'm like, God damn, the moments that, if you're patient and you'll let them come to you, you're like, man, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's, like I said, you got a short attention span. You've been watching. Like, where the hell is it?
You've been watching the Adjustment Bureau.
If you've been watching any Adjustment Bureau, you're like, when's this song gonna get adjusted?
Yeah. I'm used to action-packed thrillers with guys in fedoras.
Yeah. When are we gonna adjust this song to rock?
When's the Bureau gonna come and adjust it to the heavy part?
I wish this wasn't an album review and we could just title this episode "The Adjustment Bureau." Here's the next one. It's called Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my least favorite. Just this feels the most familiar. The chord progression just feels too simple. It just like, even though it is similar to the other ones where you're waiting for the song to pick up, I just kind of felt like I didn't care where it got picked up. I was like, I've heard this before. It's like a classic like Beatles type of descending riff.
Yeah, the chord progression. This is the most familiar sounding thing on the record. I would agree. Like it has a very classic sounding melody, and the chord progression is something you feel like you've heard a lot.
Yeah, like the prom song type of thing.
Yeah, I still enjoyed it. It's the most thinly produced of like all of the songs on the record.
I would agree.
Like the whole band comes in at one point, and they're just. Like on guitar, it's just following that chord with like, it almost sounds like it's mirroring the bass. It just does like a do 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 do.
Yeah.
And it reminded me a little bit of this band called Silkworm. Have you ever heard of Silkworm?
Heard of them probably because of you.
Probably.
Yeah.
But they would do stuff like this. Like they recorded without Beanie, and they would always leave like there's a song that this reminds me of called Grotto of Miracles. Less so in like the chord progression and performances, but just like the sound of it, how just like wide open and
there's a lot of space.
There is, and I find that interesting. It's not always the most like satisfying, but to hear a band that like made like some more lushly produced stuff to have like the guts to be like, this is the song, and have the confidence to be like the vocal and the emotion will be able to carry it.
Is going to carry the whole.
I don't think it's as strong as the songs that preceded it.
Yeah, I would say that too. I mean, it's not bad. It's never bad to do a song like this. And they're the type of band that can pull off and make a prom song for their one record and make it interesting. But yeah, it just didn't have the lushness as the other ones did. I will say, I really appreciated the synth in the back of this one, like. Throughout the whole album, it seems like whatever synth or piano or whatever program they're using, and I don't mean this to sound bad, but it sounds like just kind of cheap. You know what I mean? Like it sounds like they're just using like a micro Korg or like plugged into an amp and they're micing that up. Like I love that.
Yeah. No, I know you. And I think part of it is the fact that you're hearing just it.
Yeah.
Like usually even like with a synth, it'll be blended with other synth or something.
It's not layered whatsoever.
No.
It sounds thin.
Yeah.
It sounds like they got a member who's like just playing like that's their instrument. and they're just kind of switching.
Yeah, we're doing
tones.
the bells this time.
Yeah.
We're doing the strings
Yeah,
this time.
I love that. It just sounds like they're working within their means. They're just like, yeah, we got the micro chord here, and we're gonna make it work. Yeah.
We have the Casio. I got it at a pawn shop.
Sounds good still. I mean, it still works.
And it does get heavy at the end, which is like
it's
a
coming up
nice,
here.
like kind of,
Yeah.
it is something that they've done almost on a lot of the songs.
Yeah.
So like you're almost expecting it at this point, but it still works.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like they're not playing like full chords.
It's
still just do 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 do.
It's still a very raw guitar sound, but like that, the feedback distortion, pretty cool there.
Yeah.
It's a Smashing Pumpkins type of nod, mayonnaise almost
Little
reminded
bit.
me of.
And one of the things I like too is like at the end of most of the songs, you can hear them clicking off the guitar pedals, which I love.
It's something that you can even hear with the kick drum. I can't remember which song it is, but you can hear like the pedal squeaking almost. Like it sounds so raw.
Yeah, I think they recorded most, if not all, of this stuff just live.
Sounds like it.
Sounds
I
like
mean,
it.
the vocal being recorded live, I'd be really
I don't think so.
shocked at.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I doubt. But the band sounds like they're playing together.
Yeah.
This song is called "In a Dream." This is my least favorite song.
Is this a shorter one?
No, this is one of the longer ones.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember much of this one. I remember. Yeah, this is the one about the lyrics are about like I have nothing to be sad about or something like that. I can't remember. Yeah, I kind of am remembering this one being like almost too airy.
Yeah, and there's like the most notable production choices.
Yeah.
Like I love how her voice sounds on the whole record, and this is the only one where they kind of process it.
They put like a gate on it. It sounds like she's in a cave or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think the melody that she's singing is bad, but I just don't think that sound for her voice is all that like pleasant compared to how the rest of it sounds, where I really like it.
The strength of the whole record is coming from how raw everything is. So like to add all this unnecessary reverb is like why fuck it up now? We're not fucking up.
No, I know you mean, but yeah, they're going for something different on this track that feels at times like incongruous to like the rest of what they were able to go after and achieve on the other songs. And this song doesn't really have the moment to keep me wanting to come back. There's one like really strong moment, the Nothing Makes Sense to Me Now grabs me. Like here is pretty good, but there's like 2 minutes of kind of airiness on either side.
I do like when this song gets intense. It feels this is like one of the biggest like emotional like bummers on the record, I feel like. I mean, this whole record is like kind of a bummer to listen to.
It's a bummer record.
Yeah.
I mean, perfect time of year for this to come out.
Yeah.
Fall, it's cold and shitty. It's
I was
dark
listening to it at
5
work
o'clock.
and I'm like, why am I sad? Like the whole day. Like I'm having a shitty day.
Nate's crying in his tuna salad over there.
Hey, we got pizza for the whole office. You don't have to eat the tuna.
I already
I
started.
did the tuna. Yeah, it does feel so in the moment for just like the season. It's just fucking dark and dreary.
Gray, sad.
I mean-
can you imagine if this dropped in like May? I'd be like, I can't
Yeah,
listen
like,
to this.
fuck it. Motley Crue
Cancel.
canceled. Let's move on.
This is I Get Lost. I really like this one.
Oh yeah, I remember
and-
this one.
And this one kind of
One of my favorite melodies.
big time.
Yeah.
And they kind of know that the melody is that good by how they structure the song.
Yeah.
Because it's just like this verse melody, and then the synth will come in and follow it, and then we keep coming back. It's a short, little, sweet tune.
Yeah, it has that bouncy like da 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 like. It's another one where they found something, like you were just saying. They found something, they locked it in, they knew what they were doing the whole time. Yeah, it's a fun one. I just want to fast forward a bit because
There's a line in here I really like. It's I dreamt I lost my voice on the ocean floor.
oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
I love that image. Just like on the floor of the ocean screaming enough that you've lost your voice.
Yeah, it's almost like a Dr. Seuss line or something like that, or not Dr. Seuss, Shel Silverstein.
Yeah, a
something
little
like
bit.
that. Yeah. Brought me back to second grade, dude.
Yeah, the Giving Tree,
The
dude.
Giving Tree. Is this a shorter one? I can't remember.
I believe so. Yeah.
Like I said, we don't got the Spotify here.
Yeah, dude.
I don't got all the tune-ups.
If you can believe it, they're sending us albums early.
We are
now.
actually getting stuff early, which I don't know why they are.
Yeah, I think when they catch that 3 minutes of adjustment bureau talk up front,
Like, hey guys, quick meeting. Don't send to those guys again.
they just have 3 bald men up on the wall like, do
You
not
see that
send.
email with the picture of these guys? It's enough.
And they have to have separate ones of us in the fedoras just in case.
They call themselves the Adjustment Bureau.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this one is kind of like interlude-ish. But yeah, great melody. Let's move on. What is the name of this one?
This is Pieces of Heaven.
Pieces of Heaven. This is another one of my favorites. This one and God of Everything Else. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
This one, I just absolutely love that organ, whatever that is, that synth, that thin synth that just kind of like runs the entire song and kind of controls the narrative almost. It's so melancholy. It feels like just it is such a bummer. Like it's just it's so like downtrodden, but like in a sweet way. It has a sweetness to it.
Yeah, this is like, it's a depressing album, but like, it's done so beautifully.
Yeah,
That
it's
like, I can't like.
So pretty.
Yeah. And this one, the production choices really stand out to me because you wouldn't hear in a song like this the drums be as loud as they are.
Yeah.
You can hear every sticking that guy's
Yes.
doing. Like when
Yeah.
he's on the ride, you can you can hear when the top of the stick fucking like exactly where it's hitting. There.
Yeah, it's like you're there. It's like you're behind the drum kit. Like you're listening with headphones, watching him play everything. And I mean, I feel like that with most of the instrumentation on this album. The melody on this one, again, is another one where she's just kind of going. Where I feel like maybe some spacing out would have been better a little bit with a song that's this, like, I don't know, sad and spacey. Like,
Yeah, it's
a
almost
break
like
would have been okay.
it's almost like the music is asking for space.
Yes,
you know,
it
because of
feels
how
like that.
low key
Yeah.
it is.
Like my favorite part of the song is the intro when just that organ comes in and it's like you can just hear that. Like these little parts of like peace from the vocal are my favorite parts.
Yeah, and like the drums just keep picking up in
Yeah,
volume.
listen to that cymbal. It's so crazy. I've never like it's just how do you get it to sound that like in your face, but not in like an intense way?
Yeah, there's not like a ton of attack, but
Yeah.
like there's just so much tone.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot of tone. Yeah. I want to fast forward a little bit. This one kind of.
Yeah, like you can hear that bell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate the arrangements and production on this because it does make the songs feel like more of the sum of their parts.
Yeah.
You know, there's not really anything on this like musically that you're like, oh, that guitar line, that drum fill, that whatever. But like the sonics, how they rise, how they fall, it all like, you know, it just creates these like moments that like really sell these songs.
So gentle, so like delicate. I would say if that's like that's the best word I can think of to describe this album is just delicate. It just feels so like you got to hold it the right way. You know,
You
can't
gotta
drop it.
Mind the fontanelle.
Yeah. Let's move on to the last one.
This is Sick of the Blues. This is their first single. And it's the last song of the record.
Yeah, that's all. That's a bold move. I like this one a lot. I mean, it feels like a kind of like a unexpected ending to an album like this that's so sad, and you're basically like it feels like sort of a fake out where it's like it's very upbeat. She's talking about how she's got nothing to be sad about. She's sick of being sad. So like it's kind of on the contrary to every other song on the record. It feels like a new beginning, but it's the end. So
yeah, it felt like it fit thematically to put it at the end.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's like we're emerging from all this like sadness.
Yeah.
And there's like a part of it that's like you're almost like trying to convince yourself that you're not sad
Yeah,
anymore. Like,
that's
I'm
how it
sick of the
feels.
blues.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm in love with my life again.
I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm gonna be. It's a good day. It's gonna be a good day. Like
He's
one
like,
of those.
I'm not sad
Yeah, I'm
anymore.
not sad. What the fuck was that? That wasn't me.
That guy for 40 minutes that was crying in his
That
tuna
was-
salad.
that
No,
was
I'm,
not- that
I'm
was-
free pizza Nate.
It's
You know?
it's Pizza Friday.
Yeah, this reminds me. This is a better glimpse of what their other stuff sounds like.
Okay.
It's like these chord progressions, catchy lyrics,
Yeah.
melodies, pretty straightforward, but still able to like elevate it with her vocal
Yeah.
performances.
Yeah.
And another thing that
vocals.
I love that they do is like they have two vocals. One of them is like singing the melody with like as little emotion as possible,
Yeah.
and then she's over top of it, just
Going nuts.
as emotive as she wants. And it's kind of cool because like they'll match up at times and it'll be a nice harmony, and then other times she's
It's
like
completely.
yeah, they're like
two different
competing with each other.
planets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do that throughout the album that I think works like really
Yeah.
well. It kind of helps ground the melody while allowing her to
Yeah.
give everything she's got.
Yeah. I love how messy that little instrumental part we just skipped over. I
Yeah.
love how messy that sounds with all the feedback. It feels like it works with the lyrics where it's just like sick of the blues, and I just like they don't care anymore. It's just like it feels out of tune and kind of just jangly and all over the place. But it's hard to forget this song. You know, like out of any song on this record, I feel like this might be the most memorable. Like as a closer, with the lyrics, with how intense it gets, with her vocal, it just highlights everyone so well.
I would agree. And it's like a nice, you know, usually you like the front half to have some bangers.
Yeah.
But it is nice to get like this treat at the end of the record.
It feels like a treat. Yeah.
You know? And this little jazzy part. This is the exact amount of jazz I
Yeah.
want my rock and roll. Just 10 seconds at the
Right
end.
at the tail end. Yeah.
Take notes, Jordy Greet.
Yeah, we don't want all that shitty Latin jazz about having sex with prostitutes. We want to be happy.
Just a taste.
Just a little
Just a
taste.
tasteful outro.
I mean, it was literally 10 seconds long, maybe even less. I'm just gonna play that again while we
While we do our CAs.
do our CAs.
I'm going to have you go first.
Hold on a sec.
Okay.
I wanna listen to that, but it's not letting me. Here we go. I guess it's not gonna let me.
Okay.
So let's just do CA's silent. Yeah. So this being my first foray into the Porridge Radio world, I enjoyed it. It definitely is an album that you have to be patient with, like we said. Like if you're expecting riffs or just expecting like much intensity at all, this is not for you. Like even when the songs get intense, it's still loud and like restrained. You know, they don't ever like go overboard with anything. It's always like it seems like it's gonna get there to like something really grungy, and it just kind of never does. It that's why the band is unique in that way. Like I don't think of it as like a weakness. It's more of like something something that they do that no one else does. Like most bands are just gonna go for it, where they're just like they're gonna have her just kind of give one of these like you know, and that's what it's gonna be. But I liked that. Like I liked how unique this sounded, and I liked, you know, even though these songs are really sad and just kind of can put you in like a dark space, the lyrics are not really like, a lot of the lyrics are about trying to be happy. I feel like, you know, even on like some of the sadder ones like that In a Dream one, like it has lyrics about bringing yourself up, and then the last song again is like it's just kind of like reminding you to be happy rather than like telling you like everything's gonna be okay. So I like the theme of the record as well. I haven't heard anything like this. It's so weird to listen to a band and be like, yeah, I have like no point of reference for like what they used to sound like or who their influences really are. But I didn't expect it to give me like two of my favorite songs of the year with second to last one. I can't remember what it's called.
Second to last one is Pieces of Heaven.
Pieces of Heaven, and then
God of Everything.
God of Everything Else, yeah. Two just fantastic fucking songs, sprinkled in with some other really great ones. Love the intro, love the closer, loved the first half of the record quite a bit. You know, I guess my criticism towards it would be like it is like very slow moving at times. Like just to get to the points in the songs that are exciting, you have to do a lot of just sitting and waiting. You know, like a lot of the songs are like 4.5 minutes long, which is, you know, it's not a snooze fest. I don't think it's a snooze fest. I don't think this is an album to be bored. Like they're actively trying to make you not bored. Like they want you to wait because there is something huge coming around the corner, and you learn that very early on in the record. So I can appreciate that. But it is like kind of it's just a record you have to be patient with, which is, you know, my brain has come to not love that. But like
I have a couch potato listener brain at this point.
It's a headphones record is what I'm really trying to say. It's a headphones record. Listen to it at night by yourself, cry, laugh. Yeah, but it, you know, it's a really great indie record. It's one of the most unique I've heard all year. I'm probably gonna give it like a 7 flat.
Nice. Yeah, I was surprised at how much I loved this record.
Love the L word.
I did.
Yeah.
And for some of the reasons that you're talking about, they do make you eat your vegetables a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, they really take their time. But I found that more times than not, the moment that we would arrive to was good enough to justify that.
Yeah.
You know, and they've written really great songs. Like they have some songs that I've listened to a bunch of times. They know how to write a really good poppy indie rock song. So to hear them kind of strip everything back and kind of work towards these moments in like this organic, delicate way, I found really interesting. And I thought her vocal performances on this record are some of the best I've heard all year.
Yeah.
There's nobody that really sounds like her. She has like this weird superpower that I don't hear many other vocalists have.
Yeah.
Where like this very specific emotionality that she seems to be in like absolutely no control of, but also absolute control of.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
It does feel like she just you don't know when it's gonna happen, and maybe she doesn't either. But she probably is completely in control of what she's doing.
Yeah, because it always gets on this like edge of falling apart, and it's always right where it needs to be. Yeah, lyrically I really liked it. I liked it sonically and how stripped back it was. And yeah, some songs like God of Everything Else I love. I love the opener.
That's great.
Hole in the Ground I think's great. The first half of the record I definitely think is stronger than the back half. There's a couple songs on there that I probably will skip when I listen to it front to back again, but like the heights on the songs that I really like reach a high enough point that I think I'm going to go within 8-1.
Wow. Pretty high. 7.5.
I think that's a deeply depressing
That's
hell yeah.
deeply depressing hell yeah. Which sounds bad,
but it's awesome.
It's actually really good.
Yeah.
See these guys? They gave you a deeply depressing hell yeah. Whatever that means.
We are the PR team's just...
I know, the nightmare.
Like, truly.
Quit sending stuff to those but yeah, it's a 7.5. It's a deeply depressing hell yeah. If you want to be deeply depressed, go listen to Porridge Radio's new album. Clouds in the Sky, they will always be there for me. That's coming out this week. Coming out today. Probably.
Yes. It's probably out right now.
It's probably out right now, yeah. The first on the scene, the IQMB boys.
The Adjustment
Bureau adjusting when they get releases.
Just in case a couple things need adjusted down here.
We got it covered. But yeah, go listen to the record. Tell us what you thought. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Comment and let us know what you thought of the record. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok. Subscribe on Patreon. We're going to do a new Patreon episode, I think, but I think pretty soon.
Yeah, probably next week.
Probably next week. So look out for that. And you can listen to the episodes on Spotify. I think we're still having some issues with uploading.
Yeah, Chancellor
I'm not
Vince
sure
Neil.
if we've been banned, but something's not right, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, maybe we said something bad about Joe Rogan.
Maybe
shut it down.
Yeah, he notified Daniel Eck, whatever the fuck that guy's name is.
He's like, they quit their band? We need an album every 9 months.
We need an album. If you want to make money on here, you gotta need an album every quarter, I would say.
Yeah, we got album. Just name your albums: Q1,
Q2,
Q3.
Yeah, just results. That's all we want is results.
Doesn't matter what they sound like. Who gives a shit?
Have you heard these King Gizzard guys? They do anything.
They're our best guys.
That would be awesome if King Gizzard was like the poster boy for Spotify. Look at these guys. They're doing it right.
They're
you want to make
churning
money. You got to churn out records every week, I would say.
Everybody is like praising them for their artistry, but like you find out it's like, yeah, we talked to Daniel Eck, and that's
we talked to Daniel Eck.
He's our biggest inspiration, you know. He said, put out an album every 3 months, and we said, done deal,
that's
Daniel.
what we did. He's the boss, man. It's like, fuck. No.
Can you imagine the nerd hearts that would shatter?
He's the boss, man.
Yeah, their entire subreddit would just be guys
God.
justifying it. Look, it's the new way of doing things.
They're the only ones that are doing it smart. Got to applaud them for that. Anyways, Porridge Radio, 7.5 out of 10. A deeply depressing hell yeah on the IQMB scale. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.